What's up, lads? Welcome back to the channel. Um, this is going to be more of an informal video. So, I've been reading some more Stoicism recently. Don't know if you can see the title. It says Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Um, so, Marcus Aurelius was a famous Greek emperor, a Roman emperor, and he was also a philosopher and apparently this book, it's a book, but essentially this was a series of notes Marcus wrote for himself to just dwell on things, and more of a set of reminders that he wrote for himself that somehow, what, like 2000 years later, it's a thing and people read it. So it's considered to be one of the most important works in like Stoicism. And, I've been trying to, read more and read a bit of Stoicism, and that's kind of what's inspiring this video. I'd like to talk about the idea of Stoicism and, just how it could help you and like why you should read it, right? So, like, Stoicism in its heart is like it's sort of saying it's like a set of rules to live by. It tells you what you should do and what you shouldn't do in order to live a good life. And by no means do I think that this is exhaustive and it'll help you solve out anything in your life and anything and everything, but I feel like this is definitely something that helps build mental fortitude in times of stress or in really difficult times. So I remember I read the book Letters from a Stoic during a phase of my life where I was kind of struggling, and it was a hard time. Like, just imagine one of those times in life where like things aren't going as smoothly when as you want them to. You're like stuck grinding in the trenches, trying to get the next thing forward. One of those times, like times where like you really need faith. So I read Letters from a Stoic during that time, and it really, really helped me shape my mindset, and help me, uh, you know, like get through that, and really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And Meditations, which is another work, a Stoic work, touches upon a lot of the same concepts, right? I think fundamentally, Stoicism is this idea that, well, let me kind of explain this to you. So, um, let's say you you had a big house, right? You had a big house and you had a lot of stuff. You had a lot of property, and you had a lot of wealth and things in that house. And let's say you spent 10 years of your life trying to acquire all of the wealth and all of the stuff that you put into the house. And let's say one day, due to a very unfortunate accident, the house burns down and you lose everything, right? So everything's just like gone to waste, right? Um, I think a normal reaction to this sort of event would be like anger, frustration, sadness. You get the idea, right? That's what most people would do when such a thing happens to them, right? But a Stoic would literally look at the events that happened, understand that, okay, this sequence of events could have happened. It's logically possible that this sequence of events happened. It's possible that this happened because it did, and so why did it happen? He would find out the sequence of steps, um, he would accept them because there's no point not accepting them because they already happened, right? Because if you didn't accept them, like, what are you gonna do about it, right? If your house burnt down, you can't go back in time and fix it. It burnt down, right? You can build a new one, but that's in the future, but you can't prevent what happened. So he would he would accept it, right? Okay, that happened, that sucked, but whatever, that happened, right? And and then yeah, he would just start building again. Assuming you don't want to be lose your house, you're going to start building a new house, and he would just start building again. And so if you think about the way the Stoic approaches this scenario, there's a lot less mental pain, right, compared to someone who, I don't know, spends a week or a month of his life having a mental breakdown that he lost his house or whatever. He lost all his property or whatever. You get the idea, right? So Stoicism, at its heart, I think, is a set of rules or a mindset, sort of a set of rules for life you follow that make it easier to navigate tough situations, because they really sort of guard you from like emotions and like emotional damage, if that makes sense, right? Another example of this would be, well, okay, if you're playing a game and you want to win the game, all you need to do is figure out how to win the game and then do those actions to win the game, right? Any emotions related to victory, loss, perceptions of victory, loss, other things, right? Those things are external and can be removed because you made all that up, or like your mind made all that up, and you just attached that stuff to the actual events that are happening, right? Let's say you have a very important tennis game or a basketball game you want to play, and you really want to win the game, whatever, right? Let's say that's the context of this thing, right? So any thoughts you have about what happens if I win the game, what happens if I lose the game, blah 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 blah, like whatever, right? It's like the thing is like no one cares, right? Fundamentally, to the effect of actually winning the game itself, all your emotions are rather pointless. Like if you want to win the game of basketball, you need to be good at basketball. That's literally it. Find a way that your team, or you play well with your team, and find a way that you beat the other team. Whatever. Find a way to win. Find a way where you win the game, and then take those actions to make sure that you win the game. That's what you can do. Those are that's the logical sequence of steps that you can do. And it's like you and all you should do is do those steps such that you did everything you could to win the game. Like that's it. That's the whole picture, right? Now, whether or not on the day of the game you have a car accident and you break your leg and you don't play and the team doesn't win, you don't first of all, you don't know that stuff. Second of all, stuff like that is outside your control, right? You should not be concerned or worried about things that are outside your control, like external events or things that people do to you, right? Like you get the idea. Things that you can't control, you should only be concerned about things you can control, things you can do, right? Things you can impact. And amongst the things you can do, you should approach everything through the lens of reason. So reason is basically logic, like does this make sense or not, right? Me wanting to win the game really bad doesn't mean that it's going to increase my chances of winning the game unless I do something because of that willingness to win the game. Like me working out or me training hard or practicing shots or whatever, or playing more with the team, those are things that have a direct impact on me winning the game. Hence, I should do those things, right? My thoughts about what happens if I win, what happens if I lose, all those things are irrelevant, right? The only objective was to win the game, and then you have to look at this through reason. They're like, all right, what can we do, right? And just think everything through and make a plan and stuff like that, right? And this sort of approach I've seen uh, is very helpful. I think it's really helpful, and so I think Stoicism largely is like this thing where you you sort of zoom out um, at everything, and you realize that there is, in some way, there is reason or logic in the way things unfold. And I have to be careful in the way I say this because Buddhists, if you do reading about Buddhism, you might encounter a concept where Buddhists openly declare and they say that, well, not everything makes sense and that's fine, right? I'm not really talking about the same thing. That's not what I'm talking about. Stoicism, like the way logic works in Stoicism, is that it basically says that like like even if you see a sequence of events that you find hard to accept, that are like really bad, right? The sequence of events, the people in that situation, the things they did or the things that happened, that can still be explained with logic. Like things happened, a certain sequences of events occurred, right? Even if those events are hard for you to accept, right? But things can be explained. Like there's a sequence to things, like A, B, C, D, etc., right? Like a timeline. So it fundamentally states that there is a sequence to things, and I think it, like I said, I'm not really like an expert at this, but I like, it says that there is a sequence of things, and it says that the sequence of things as they unfold is what is called nature. So nature is fundamentally, I think, this is like hard to explain, but it's the way the world works, and it's the way, like, the concept of nature is basically, I think, a part of both Buddhism and Stoicism. I won't talk about the other ones because I mostly have exposure to just these two. Um, it's basically like the world itself, right? It's the way that we behave. It's the way that, like, it's the way things are, for lack of a better word, right? How we want the world to be could be different from what the world actually is, right? So nature is more of like how the world is, like what is, like, it's hard to explain, but it's like the world itself, right? And we are part of it. We're not separate from the world, but we are part of the same thing. We're all part of the same thing, right? The giant earth, right? It says that you must live accordance to the laws of nature. You must live with other people because you're a part of society, right? So you have to, like, do the things that that make you fit, and or rather, you shouldn't be, like, you shouldn't go about like causing a ruckus for no reason. You should be doing things in accordance with the way things are, right? um Take this with a pinch of salt. I'm not saying that you don't have free will or you don't have autonomy in your life. I'm just saying that it's more of a statement that you're supposed to behave in harmony with everyone else. That's sort of the idea I'm trying to present. So you have to fundamentally believe that there's logic behind everything. You can see everything through a lens of reason. You have to live with everyone and everything, and follow what is just, what is unjust, use your moral values, all of that, right? You should, you know as the world is, or with your own thing, as the way you wish to impact it, you should work with nature, you should be a part of nature, and then you have to play by those rules. And lastly, there's this idea of just focusing on the things that are within your control and not focusing on the things that are outside your control. So that means purely, like, it's like you can be happy if you did the best you could, and you can be sad if you didn't do the best you could, and you didn't do the best you could. But there's no point being happy or sad if the reason for your happiness or sadness is like something outside your control, right? Let's say Stoicism would probably, like, if you won the lottery, for example, like a hardcore Stoic would probably not care, because he's like, all right, so like gave you fate gave you this money, so fate can also take it away. So like Stoics hate the idea of fate, right? Fortune, because they believe that, like, it's you and the things you do, right? So literally, you waiting for things to happen to you make no sense. If you want to do something, or if you want to make something happen, you might as well do the things that you have to do to make that happen. Things that are within your control, right? So Stoics scorn the idea of fate or fortune, but ideally, it's like you focus on the things that you can control, and you only concern yourself with that, and you don't concern yourself with the things you can't control. And yeah, like, you look at everything through the lens of logic. you know don't get emotional. Don't get emotional is the wrong way to put it, because we're humans, we get emotional, but it's rather, maybe if I phrase it like, don't take your emotions too seriously, because they keep changing, right? You shouldn't place a massive value on. To give you some context, like, I'm talking about this when, like, your emotions get in your way, or when they're like hampering you against doing something or against solving a problem. So like, don't get influenced by your emotions, and do everything through logic, through the lens of reason. Like, you should be, like, if you make a choice in life, you should be able to justify why you did that thing, and not say like, I did that thing because, like, you know what I mean, like, because I was angry, or I was like really sad, or like whatever. Like, there should be reason, like, justifying your actions. And the reason I'm talking about all of this is basically so that you it's so that you are less affected, or so that you place less of a weight on emotions, because emotions are things that like keep changing and stuff like that, right? So I know this video has been going on for like 19 minutes now, but hopefully you get an idea of what I'm trying to talk about. um, if you're interested in the idea of Stoicism, I recommend you read the book, Letters. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So, all right, let me see. So, if you see that, let me focus. It's called Letters from a Stoic. It's by uh, Seneca. Seneca was one of the famous Stoics, or rather one of the Stoics who wrote a lot. So his work is still available to us. But yeah, check that out. Um, yeah, that's pretty much been it, to be honest, for the video. Just wanted to talk about like a few ideas and stuff. So yeah, hopefully you found this helpful, or whatever. If you liked the stuff I was talking about, maybe you consider reading the book I told you. It give you a much more detailed insight into how Stoicism works and stuff like that. But yeah, that's been it. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, plans to record more videos soon. Stay safe and healthy. Peace. I'll see you on the next one. Later. Bye for now. Have a great day.